Every return costs you more than just the refund. There's the product itself, the return shipping, the restocking time, and the part nobody talks about, the damage done to your reputation through reviews, word of mouth, and customers who quietly never come back. So, for small businesses, returns are one of the most expensive things that happen to you, and they almost always trace back to something you could have prevented before the sale ever happened. In this episode, we're walking through the three systems every small product or service brand needs to help reduce returns and turn a first purchase into a return customer. I'm Burnett King, the founder of Noble Crown Fragrances, a company dedicated to elevating your space through the power of scent. The Noble Crown podcast is here to talk about the business of building a product-based brand with lessons learned to help you reach your goals faster and better understand the industry. If you're watching on YouTube, please take a moment to subscribe. It helps the channel grow and keeps you connected to future episodes. For everybody who's already subscribed, thank you, and please like this video. All right, so let's talk about the framing of the three stages and the three systems that will help you prevent returns. So returns and repeat purchases live on opposite ends of the customer journey, right? One at the beginning and one after they've received the product. So they share the same root cause. Did your customer's experience match their expectation? When it does, right, returns drop and repeats climb through the roof. When it doesn't, they both go the wrong way, right? They're both going, well, returns go up and repeat purchases go down. So in this episode, we're going to talk about the three stages of the customer journey, or the three timings within the customer journey. So before the sale, the first try, and then after the sale. And each stage has its own system. And this applies whether you sell candles like me or you sell coaching, software, skincare. It really applies to anything. So get all three of these things right, and your business gets quietly more profitable without spending a dollar more on ads or other marketing. All right, let's talk about system number one. So before the sale, we need to set the right expectation. A return almost never starts at the unboxing moment. It actually starts earlier, when the customer formed an expectation about the product or service that you couldn't meet. The job of that first system is actually very simple. Make sure what your customer is imagining matches what they actually are going to receive. So first, let's talk about quizzes and product matchers, right? So these are guides that help the customer to the right product instead of letting them guess, right? So if you have a lot of products, or somebody's trying to understand if this product, even if you just sell one, is right for them, you can help them take a quiz to kind of assure themselves or to reduce their fears. And so whether that's a scent quiz, which is something that I do, or like in beauty products, a skin type finder, right? A software plan recommender, a service or fit questionnaire, right? Fewer mismatch purchases up front means that there will be fewer returns on the end. And it also gives a stronger first impression, especially for reviews. So the second thing you can do is detailed product descriptions. So go beyond features and specs, right? You want to describe who this product is for, when and how they'll use it, and what problem it solves, right? Most of these products and services that we're selling are about problem solving. So if you can get into the head of the potential customer and show like, hey, this is what this product solves, then they will know if it's for them or not. And then the customer should be able to picture that for themselves before they ever go to add it to cart. Now, the third thing, and this is one that people tend to ignore, reviews on every product page. Reviews preview reality. So they calibrate the customer's expectations, using what other people have already experienced. So that's the most honest expectation, right? You can say all of the things in the world, but reviews are actually going to say, hey, this person went and bought this product, spent their hard-earned money on it, and here's what they think about it. And then lastly, detailed return and exchange policies, right? So almost every shop nowadays has a return and exchange policy. You just need to be really clear in the language. Actually, if you don't have a return and exchange policy, please go make one. But you need to be clear on that policy. Things like returns, shipping, exchanges, damage, like all of that. If you're upfront about it and people can get to it and know what it means, then it reduces the return risk. Confused customers will often panic, whereas confident customers will commit. So the policy itself is part of how you sell. Just having that policy and being clear in it will actually help increase sales. Right, so I'm going to walk you through one of my actual product pages so you can see what I'm talking about with setting expectations. So we're on my product page here for Salty Dog Foaming Hand Soap, right? And as you can see, there are some reviews here, right? And then the first thing, even above the title, right? And this is going to change. My product pages are going to change here in the near future, but you can see the notes. So scents are some of the hardest things to sell online because you can't smell them right over the internet. And so you need to be able to describe the main notes, but you don't want to overwhelm people in their initial impression. So here we have fresh rhubarb, pink grapefruit, and geranium, right? Those are the kind of the three main notes here. And then as you scroll, you say, okay, here's the size. You want to set a clear expectation of what it looks like, right? All of your pictures should kind of help show what the product looks like. So that way they know what they're actually receiving when they get it. And then in the description, right? So let's read through this really quickly. Salty Dog brings a bright, thirst-quenching freshness to the sink, where crisp citrus and green notes feel instantly energizing. So think about that. If you just read that first sentence and didn't read the rest of it, you know that this is a bright, kind of thirst-quenching, fresh scent, and also it's crisp citrus, right? And it feels energizing. So the feeling is what you want to describe. Then we go into some more of the technical details. The lather opens juicy and clean, right? With a refreshing sharpness that feels lively without tipping into sweetness. So this is getting around an objection, right? Because some people are like, oh, I don't want a sweet scent. Some citrus scents are sweet, right? This gets around that and lets them know that this is not a sweet scent. Then we keep going. As it rinses away, the scent settles into light, breezy finish. Grapefruit and rhubarb soften into fresh geranium and a clean, musky base, leaving hands clean, lightly scented, and comfortable. It is playful but polished, refreshing without excess, and easy to reach for throughout the day. Right? Then we talk about more of the detailed fragrance notes. So if people are still scrolling at this point, that means they're probably interested in potentially buying it. And then you're going to give them more of those details. And then also ingredients, right? So for things like beauty products, foods, soaps, anything like that, you're going to want to get into the ingredients because people are going to care about what's in it. And then you can see this review is towards the bottom, but it's the same. If you press that, it's going to come down to the review and they can actually read, right? So this is what my basic product page looks like for most of my products. Again, we're trying to be as detailed as possible, but not overwhelm the person, right? So we want to assuage their fears. We want to let them know what's going on. One thing that I could do better on here is that my soaps are really moisturizing. And so we want to make sure that we put some of that language into here as well, right? One great thing about my soaps is that they don't dry out your hands. So I should probably add some details around that. But overall, this does a good job of describing the scent and what it does in combination with the imagery, right? So this imagery kind of tells you all of what's in there without ever having to read anything. That's another thing. Your product images, not just the description, can also serve as a way to help people understand what they're going to receive. All right, let's talk about system number 2. So the first try, again, right? Okay, we got a person getting ready to buy or they have bought. So every first purchase from a new brand carries risk for that customer. They're asking themselves, what if I don't like it? What if it doesn't work for me? What if it's not what I expected, right? So the bigger the risk or the perceived risk, the lower your conversion rate is going to be, and the higher your return rate is going to be when somebody actually gambles on a full size or full price item and then loses. So what I like to do, one technique, right, is samples, trial sizes. If you do like a tiered service, like a free tier or like a freemium tier, free consultations, discovery sets, like all of those things give small bite-sized pieces. They let the customer take that small bet instead of a huge bet, right? And that's often the problem with buying things over the internet, depending on price. If something is a larger priced item, then you need to be able to give them a smaller chunk or to at least be able to preview what they're buying. So lower the size of the bet. You want to raise your conversion rate. A $10 trial feels safe, whereas a $60 commitment feels like more of a risk, right? So the smaller you can make that customer's first decision, more customers are likely to say yes. One way to do this is trial offerings. So they signal like brand confidence. You're saying, hey, if you try me out, I bet you'll come back for more. And that posture builds trust before the customers even spend $1. They're like, oh, they're so confident in their product. Like they're giving me a trial run and then they expect me to come back because it's so good. That tells me, hey, maybe the product actually is good, right? Then things that I do in the fragrance world, right? Discovery sets, sample packs, trial periods, they're all amongst the cheapest kind of data tools in your business. So you can put all this information out here and get more people trying things, and then you know more, right? So like which items are getting reordered, which trials actually convert to a paid subscription. There's kind of a roadmap for what you should be scaling or restocking or getting rid of, right? And then position your trial offerings as the smart way to choose. So not necessarily as a budget option, like, or a consolation prize. Try to frame it as, hey, a careful customer would buy this, right? Somebody who's smart about their purchasing dollars will buy this because it's gives them a chance to try something out. So the cheapest first purchase is the most valuable marketing you'll ever run. Samples don't actually lose you money, right? Mismatched full priced purchases lose you money. All right, and let's talk about system number 3. So this is after the sale. Most small brands actually forget the customer as soon as the order ships out of their place. And that's the most expensive mistake to make, right? You really need to nourish and cherish those relationships, because it will cost you 5 times more to acquire a new customer than to bring an existing one back. So the third system is about staying present after the sale, and what a way that in a way that feels like caring about the customer rather than marketing towards the customer or just shouting at the customer to buy again. So here's a few ways that we do this. So welcome flow for new email subscribers, right? So this is an interesting one because they might actually not be a customer yet, but you want to introduce your brand, your philosophy, the products before even like asking for a sale. And so that first impression in your inbox is the second impression of your brand, right? They already might have an impression from like signing up for email and kind of checking out your website, but this first impression email is actually another chance to kind of get them interested or intrigued in your brand, especially if they haven't purchased yet. Then another way to do this, and probably the most important way to do this, is the post-purchase email sequence. So you want to confirm the order, obviously, right? You don't want people thinking, oh, I spent my money, I don't know if I'm going to get this or not. Try to set delivery expectations around timing or even like what they might receive. And then teach the customer how to get the most out of what they bought. So like in those confirmation emails or like delivery emails, you might want to put like, hey, this is how you use the product, or, this is what you'll be seeing from us or hearing from us in the future. Like all that education actually builds satisfaction, and then satisfaction leads to good reviews, and then reviews builds to the next customer's confidence, right? Okay, check-in emails to those existing customers. So especially for consumable products, this is really important. So segment by purchase date and by product. So if somebody bought something that they would need to refill in about 30 days or 60 days, try to match that cadence and try to message them, because they're saying, oh yeah, I did just run out, or hey, I'm running low on this. Maybe I should go buy another one. And they may have forgotten about your brand, or haven't seen your marketing or your social media or whatever. And so they aren't thinking about you. So you need to get another touch point in front of them before they make the purchasing decision to go somewhere else. So somebody who's bought a one-time item is also open to discovering what else you make, right? So even if it's not necessarily a refillable or consumable item, you still want to touch those people who have already purchased from you, because they might be able to buy something else that you make, another product or service that you offer. Surveys. So try to do surveys to collect data, right? Your existing customers are your best source of data. Try to make those surveys very short, targeted, and timed to when they will actually fill them out. So ask what they bought, what they expected. Was there a gap in what they expected and what they received? Surveys actually reduce future returns because they reveal expectation gaps, they reveal problems. Try to not just make the survey biased to get positive feedback. You also want super critical feedback from customers who've actually spent money, right? And that is the way that you're going to get real data. And none of this is about volume of emails. Like you don't want to just spam emails just to stay at the top of their mind, but you do want to be relevant, right? A repeat customer is a customer who feels remembered, not marketed to. So if you build all 3 of these systems, 2 things will happen at the same time. Returns go down because expectations were set right in the first place and risk is lowered before their first purchase. And then repeat purchases go up because customers feel taken care of after the first trial. You don't always need more traffic to necessarily grow your business. You need more of your existing customers to come back and fewer of them to walk away unhappy. So let's recap the three systems. So there's before the sale, right? So if we're thinking about this customer journey, there's before the sale. There are things like quizzes. So this is a guidance play, right? Let's guide people into the right product or the right service and guide them through your brand. There's detailed descriptions, which we walk through one of my descriptions. You want clarity. You want to give them what problem you're solving, or give them more information about the product to make it easier to have them make that decision, whether it's right for them or not. Reviews, this is a de-risking play, right? Because they're seeing evidence from other people. And then clear policies, again, clarity. It's around, hey, if something does go wrong, am I protected? Now, the first trial, right? So we're moving to the second stage of this customer journey. So either right before they purchase or right after they purchase. So samples, trials, discovery sets, that all lowers the customer's risks. And then we didn't even talk about incentives, but you can also incentivize them, right? So if they buy a trial or they buy a discovery set, maybe give them some kind of bounce back, right? So we do this on our perfume discovery sets, where if you buy a perfume set, a discovery set, you end up with a discount or a credit towards your next full bottle purchase. And so these are ways, again, to de-risk people's if they're hesitant to shop because it's a big purchase for them, then you want to incentivize them to make it less scary. And then the third phase and final phase is after the sale, right? So welcome flows, again, clarity and information, but then post-purchase emails, check-in, survey, those are all awareness tools to, hey, remind you, I exist out here, my company exists out here, and hopefully you like the product enough to buy again. So I want you to pick one system this week. Again, this is your homework for the week, right? You guys know I love to assign homework. So pick one of those systems and try to audit it, right? So before the sale, the first trial, or after the sale, and figure out what you can do to improve. Make a list, right? Because there's probably a bunch of improvements, right? I went through one where I should talk more about the benefits in my foam and hand soaps, right? So if you can figure out that list, tackle one thing on that list over the next week or two, and you can do it one of two ways. You can start small, so start with something easy that you know you can knock out in the next 7 to 14 days, or start with the one that you think will be the most impactful, right? This will actually like boost your conversion. It will help people check out, or it'll boost your AOV, meaning it's going to add to your total revenue. So leave a comment below. I want to know what you guys are going to fix this week on either reducing returns or increasing repeat purchases. So as always, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps spread the joy of fragrance and supports fellow entrepreneurs. If you'd like to explore any of the fragrance products that I personally make, you can go visit noblecrown.shop and check them out. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.